you're thinking about buying a house in South Austin and you're comparing east with west, there's a whole lot of factors to consider and a whole lot of differences. We're going to tell you about them today. All right, so lots of different people define South Austin in different ways. For our purposes, we're going to use 290, the Highway 290, as kind of our border point. So everything under 290 is what I'm talking about when I say South Austin. And as far as dividing east from west, we're going to use I-35 as our division point between east and west, which is our major highway that runs north through south, so it makes a lot of sense. But it also makes sense because the landscape on the two sides of 35 are vastly different. I-35 actually sits on top of an old fault line. It's not active now, so we're not really worried about that. But it has impacted the structure of the land. So anything west of 35, generally speaking, is going to typically have more hills, more trees. It's going to be like a rockier terrain. That's the hill country, Central Texas. Everything east of 35 is generally going to be more flat, more low-lying, old ranch lands, prairie grasses. There's not as many trees on the east side, except for in new communities where builders have come in and planted them carefully, meticulously. Exception to that, if you go out into the rural areas, once in a while you'll find like a big grove of beautiful oaks, especially when you get near rivers. But just in general, it's going to be hilly, rocky on the west, flatter, clearer on the east. Okay, and so those differences in the topography of the area and the landscape also lend themselves to differences in the property values. So just generally speaking, the west side of 35 tends to be more expensive land and the east side tends to be a lower price per square foot on average. We've made videos about this before and given exact property values, and I'm not going to do that again now because it changes so fast that it gets dated right away. So just call us if you want like an up to the minute average on what the price per square foot is west versus east. For now, suffice it to say, it's going to be more expensive on the west side. Okay, so now let's talk about the feeling of the neighborhoods on the west side versus the east side. My best advice to you is to go drive those areas so you get a feel for it for yourself, because sometimes it's hard to adequately describe things and you just feel it when you drive it. But I will do my best right now because that's why you're watching this video. So on the west side, your neighborhoods are going to be more established. So you're going to have bigger trees, you're going to have older homes, I'd say starting like mid-century up until the 90s probably. There really aren't many new builds in Southwest Austin. New construction that it's gone in is more like condos because of the value of the land. So for the most part, you're gonna have larger lots, you're gonna have big trees, you're gonna have sidewalks, you're gonna have like less cookie cutter homes. You're gonna have, in South Austin, you're gonna have a lot of personality. This is the area that has given Austin its Keep Austin Weird motto. So you might have like really fun colored hardy plank outside. You might have like lots of banners in the yard. You might have metal structures. I know of a metal T-Rex. I know of a giant spider in South Austin. A lot of really fun, quirky personality on the west side. The east side, because it has been just long rural land without a whole lot of development, everything on that side, for the most part, is newer. So what's happened on that side as it is exploding is that developers have come in and bought up big parcels of land and put in master plan communities like Goodnight Ranch, Easton Park. What else is out there? Bradshaw Crossing. There's a whole lot of new stuff going in. And so that tends to be a little bit more uniform, more HOAs on that side. It's beautiful. The properties are well maintained, they're well built, they're newer. There are trails, but they're more likely to be like concrete trails versus like single track biking trails through the woods. So both sides are really beautiful. I just say in general, those are differences. And then on the east side, there also is a lot of land that is still undeveloped, that's still pretty rural. There are places where you can buy acreage and put a mobile home on it or build on your own. And again, the land is going to be less expensive the further out you get on that side. Okay, let's talk about infrastructure too. So because I told you that the west side has been established for longer, there is more infrastructure in place on the west side right now. There is a second north-south highway on the west side called MOPAC, or Loop 1 on the map. There are a ton of grocery stores, tons of shopping. There's a giant Hill Country Galleria if you go way west. So there's already medical out there. There's a whole lot in place on the west side. East side is slowly changing. Tesla went in on the east side, actually out further toward Del Valley, but that has impacted everything around it. There still is not a big grocery store on the east side. This is big controversy. There are rumors that H-E-B, our big grocery chain, has purchased land. Actually, I don't think it's a rumor. I think they've actually purchased land in southeast Austin, but haven't started building on it yet. So I think that's going to go in at some point. But there's still a desperate need for more on the east side. We do have a toll road now that goes north-south east of 35. That's 130. In some places it's 45. That will help shoot you up north-south on that side. But otherwise, it still feels like it's just waiting to be developed. So I think it's a really smart real estate investment on that side, because as Austin grows, that's kind of like the only place left for it to keep growing. If you are an outdoor lover and you're looking for park space or just outdoor living, you are not going to go wrong anywhere in South Austin. It is like the place for outdoor living. On the west side, you've got tons of greenbelt trails just built in through and in the neighborhood. So a lot of the neighborhoods actually have access to greenbelt hiking like within the neighborhood, which is super cool. You've got Circle C Park, which is a huge metropolitan park way southwest. It's got a giant soccer complex, a really nice picnic area, basketball courts, big playground that's shaded, always like cooler than the other places around. So Circle C is great. You've got Dick Nichols Park, which has this really famous dolphin that our kids love to push. Well, they don't love it as much anymore. They're a little old, I guess. They used to love pushing this button and the water would shoot out of the dolphin's mouth, and it's like a good way to cool off when it's a bazillion degrees in central Texas. So there's that. There's a pool at Dick Nichols. There's tennis courts. There's basketball courts. There's trails that go around it. A great playground there too. It's a fun place for birthday parties. That's amazing. And then there's Mary Moore Seawright, which it might be the biggest park in South Austin. It's just like a massive amount of green space. And there is a playground in there. There are tons of trails in there. I don't feel like there's as much like developed things to do. It's just like green space you can go to hike and explore or mountain bike through.
Disc golf.
Oh yeah, there's disc golf at Mary Moore Seawright too. On the east side, the biggest thing is McKinney Falls State Park, which is beautiful. You can go camping there, or you can just come in for like the day to hang out. You can swim in, I guess it's just part of the Colorado right there. There's a spot where kids can cliff jump if they're brave enough. Anyway, it's beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go to McKinney Falls and check it out. Also, though, there's Onion Creek on the east side, which has been there for a million years. It's famous because of the golf course that's tied to Onion Creek. But it's growing and expanding because the developers of Goodnight Ranch are wanting to connect Goodnight Ranch into the Onion Creek Park District to make like a massive park district on that side, which is going to be amazing. So either way, there's tons of opportunity to get out, get your vitamin D, have fun, get your kids some exercise, run your dog around in the park in South Austin. All right, quick word about schools and then we'll wrap it up. When you're looking at public schools on the west side versus the east side, historically speaking, the west side has had higher rated public schools. Particularly Southwest Austin has been like some of the highest rated AISD schools in the past. The pandemic has changed some of that, and the ratings on some of the schools have been shifting around because the ratings are tied to test scores and everything went crazy with the pandemic. So that may be changing some, but historically that's been like a hot spot for families looking for the highly rated schools. East side has historically been less so. But that's changing also as the demographics have shifted more people into the east side. Blazier Elementary is on the east side. It's one of the highest rated elementary schools in Austin. The middle school and the high schools over there are not yet improving as far as their ratings go, but anecdotally I hear they're getting better, and it makes sense to me that they'll probably continue to improve as the demographics keep changing. So it's spotty. If you want to know about a specific school, let us know. We'll help you research that. That's it for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have anything to add to what I've said, or if you think I got something wrong, I'd love to hear it. Any input is appreciated. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and have a great day.